Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Inspired Yogi. I'm excited to talk to Brent Michael Phillips today. He's not only an author, he's a former MIT graduate, graduating top in his class, and he has some exciting stuff to share. I'm excited about it. Brent, you want to give a little backstory about yourself and how you've gotten to be
Yeah,
where you're at?
it was one of those things where if you had told me 30 years ago that I'd be a professional energy healing practitioner and a spiritual teacher, I would have laughed at you. Well, it wasn't even on my radar because growing up and as a young man, I was very much into science, engineering, technology, things like that. And the culture I grew up in, we kind of saw alternative medicine and healers as, well, that's just for hippies and people that aren't smart enough to go to a real doctor, right?
People like me.
So, I changed my opinion later, but that was how I grew up. And in college, I went to MIT, and at MIT, that was huge because I discovered the internet. Now
Hmm.
it sounds funny today to the younger listeners, but there really was a time before everyone was on the internet, right? We used to talk
Yes,
to each other in public places. It was crazy how different it was. And I decided that, wow, this internet thing is going to be huge.
and you
And
were right.
spec and I was right. And specifically, I wanted to be a video game developer. I wanted to create online games, something that didn't really exist at that point.
Hmm.
So I got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and was working on my PhD at grad school at MIT. Then the internet boom hit, and I was like, "Wow, this is like my gold rush, right?"
Yeah, yeah,
And I really thought, "Hey, I'm going to hit it big here." So long story short, I left MIT, moved to California, recruited my lifelong best friend, and we started internet companies. And it got off to a pretty good start. That The very first website I ever built in my life was for the launch of the Sony PlayStation in the summer of 1995. That was my first website project. How cool is
that's
that?
exciting.
Yeah, we did the website for Disneyland. We did the website for Nissan Motors. So we had a whole bunch of Fortune 500 companies we were working with. And we even started a second company to make online games. And it seemed like a dream at the time. What I didn't see coming was the 100-hour work weeks would destroy my health.
Yeah, I think 100-hour work weeks would pretty much
Yeah.
destroy anybody's health.
And, at the time I was young and strong and healthy and I thought I knew everything. And I just thought, well, if I have to work all the time for a couple of years, that I can live with that. What I wasn't expecting was my body to totally break down. So, long story short, things got off to a great start, but then we ran into a lot of trouble. Then suddenly I couldn't work like I used to. And my first reaction was I just went to the doctor, right? Up to that point in my life, it had been simple. If you're sick or in pain, you go to the doctor, they give you something, you get better, right?
Sure, that's what most people do, yeah.
That's what most people do, but it didn't work for me. I went to doctors, they put me in splints and put me in therapy and, anti-inflammatories and that whole deal. But long story short, I spent 3 years in conventional therapy. And it's not that I just didn't get better, I got worse.
Hmm.
And it all came to a head in early 1998 because I finally, after 3 years of treatment, I got in to see the head doctor at the Curlin Joe Physical Therapy Clinic, which was a big deal. It's one of the top clinics in the world where the Olympians, professional athletes go, where they innovate surgeries and treatments. And I really thought this guy will know what to do with me. I thought he'd have an answer. And I remember, I'll never forget the day I walked into his office and I was all excited. What is it? Do you have a therapy or a surgery or some new prescription, something that'll help me with my pain? And I remember he's sitting looking at my medical records and he just says, well, I'm sorry, son, but there's nothing I or any doctor can do here. You're always going to be in pain and you're never going to be able to work again. And I was just stunned into silence. I didn't expect that. And it was crazy because the last thing he said as I left his office, he asked me, son, do you got somewhere you can go where they can help take care of you until you die? And at the time, I was still in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Pretty young.
So,
What
yeah,
what exactly was going on with your body at this time?
there was a lot of things. The obvious thing was I had devastating repetitive stress injuries. I
Okay.
pushed myself so hard for so long. I had pretty much constant pain in my neck, my shoulders, my wrist, my elbows.
Mm-hmm.
It was painful for me to do anything. I had to move in with my parents because there were a lot of days I was in so much pain, I needed help just getting dressed or to cut my food. So that's why I say this wasn't like a little tingle in my elbow. This was like life-crushing pain. I couldn't drive to work myself because it was too far. It was really horrible. And I remember when I left his office, they said, "Oh, Mr. Phillips, two things. One, we're recommending you for lifetime disability, which is very rare to get it in your 20s. Usually,
Yeah.
when you're lifetime disabled in your 20s, usually you've lost a limb or you're blind or paralyzed or something like that."
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, "Yeah, but and please don't ever come back because
Were
you're
you
an
able to
impossible case."
were you able to get disability?
I was able to get disability, but let's just say it wasn't a lot of money, and it was better than nothing, but it was far from what I needed to support myself.
Yeah.
And when I went and told my business partner and best friend, I thought he'd be all hang in there, Brent. We'll get through it together. Instead, it was the opposite. He said, "Well, if you can't work like you used to, you have no place here." So I got fired from my positions at the companies I had founded, that I had built up. It was my education, my work, my late nights that built these companies, not his. And then he sold the website company for several million dollars behind my back.
Wow.
And I was
And you
left
still
in
call him a friend?
no. Our friendship ended. Uh, and is funny. I was surprised by that behavior. I learned a little while later the reason for it. He had been secretly dating the woman that I was in love with. And he just saw this as a convenient
Dickens.
excuse to get rid of me. And you know what the sickest thing of it all is? He didn't need the money. He had inherited over $10 million. He had an
Wow.
extremely wealthy grandfather who had just passed.
Wow.
Yep. So he didn't even need the money. And I was left in terrible pain, incurable, broke, with no career, no means of supporting myself, and still in my 20s. And I was very lucky. I didn't go too far down the rabbit hole of drinking and drugs and suicidal behavior, which I think I would understand anyone in that position.
Yeah, especially in your 20s.
Yeah, I had a friend turn me on to positive thinking. So, long story short, for about 6 months, I was going to positive thinking seminars, power words on my walls, vision board, mantras every day, all that stuff.
Is that Norman
And
Vincent Peale's book, The Power of Positive Thinking? Did you read
that,
that?
that was one of them. Yep.
Yeah.
That Think and Grow Rich,
Oh,
Think
yeah.
Yourself Rich.
Boy,
There's
yeah.
a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And so I was into it for a while, but I realized that nothing was changing. My pain was getting worse. I wasn't making money. I still had no hopes of getting a job. So I gave up on positive thinking. Then I got into alternative medicine, which at first I was really excited. I thought, hey, maybe this alternative stuff can really work for me, right? So, long story short, I spent the next 5 years living with my parents, running up a gigantic credit card debt, doing alternative medicine. I started with acupuncture and Chinese herbs, then, went to a naturopath, I started doing nutrition and special cleanses. I went to homeopaths and osteopaths, and I had all these different treatments for posture and energy alignment, and I had magnets and chi machines and a vibration machine and all this stuff. I had like 3 shopping bags with the supplements I took every day, right?
Sure.
And I wasn't getting better. And just so everyone knows, when I say I tried acupuncture, I don't mean I had one session. When I say I tried acupuncture, I found the best Chinese doctor in the city, and I saw him 3 times a week for 2 years. So I was really working it hard, trying to get better, but nothing helped. My pain got worse. And things really blew up because my parents divorced and had to sell the home, and I had no place to live.
Oh, wow.
So then I find myself basically paying my rent on a credit card, which, by the way, terrible financial advice. Never do that, right?
Right, for
But I
sure.
had no other choice. I got an apartment. I was basically putting the rent on my credit card, and I didn't know what to do. And then I applied for an experimental surgery. There was a research program, and I met with the doctor, and he thought I was a good candidate. He thought, hey, Brent, this can really help you. So I agreed to have the surgery, and they botched it. And when I woke up from the surgery, my right arm was paralyzed. Couldn't move it
Oh,
at all.
not good.
So that was kind of rock bottom.
Yeah.
And my arm was frozen like that for a little over 5 months.
Wow.
And I remember I was going to the doctors and physical therapists, and they were doing manipulations and special braces and all this stuff, and nothing was helping. And during this time, it was actually my Aunt Lauren that said, "Hey, Brent, my friend Terry started doing energy healing. I think you should see her." And I blew it off. I'm like, it's not going to help me. Nothing else has helped me. I've done Reiki healing before. It doesn't help. I just poo-pooed it.
Yeah, it's all foo-foo stuff. It never
Yeah,
works.
it's all foo-foo anyway. So every month for 5 months, my aunt calls me, "Brent, have you seen Terry?" No. And finally, she's like, "What's it going to take? I'll even pay for the session." And I was like, "Okay, I'll accept you paying for the session. Take me out to dinner too, and you got yourself a deal." And she said yes. So I'm like, "Cool, right?"
Yeah. Free
And
dinner, healing
yeah, I
session.
was
Why
like, "Hey,
not?
I was broke on disability, living on my credit cards. I will take a free dinner, of course, right?"
Yeah.
So really, I was just in it for the free dinner. But I made an appointment and I went to see Terry. And she talked to me, a little bit about the power of the subconscious mind, and basically said, "Yeah, I think your life is a mess because you're full of subconscious blocks." And it was an interesting theory, right? And then she asked me a lot of questions about my childhood and what had happened with my best friend and my losing my career and the pain I'd been in and all that. And she's doing this subconscious block clearing thing.
Hmm.
And honestly, it seemed like kind of woo, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, I'm really not here to talk about my feelings, right? I'm here because I'm in a lot of pain and I can't move my arm. That's why I'm here, right?
Right, but it's all
I
connected.
I didn't see how talking about our feelings was going to help. Of course, you're right, but I didn't know that at the time, right? So anyhow, we get to the end of the session and she's like, "Okay, Brent, let's heal your arm." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you and what army, right?" And then she kind of closed her eyes, went into a trance, and it was about 30 seconds later, there was this loud crack and pop in my arm. And it was, it surprised me. I was like, "Whoa, what was that?" Right? And Terry must have heard it because she opened her eyes and she said, "Okay, let's try your arm." And I did, and I couldn't believe it that my arm, which had been immobile for over 5 months, somehow instantly healed. And that
Excellent.
was that was the miracle that took this very skeptical, agnostic scientist and engineer and turned me into a real seeker. Because I said, "Hey, you know what? There really is something here. There has to be."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my arm didn't just spontaneously fix itself for no reason, right?
Right.
And I decided this is what I'm going to do. And that's what I've been doing ever since. That my goal is to explore the world of energy healing, intuition, mind power, meditation. But my goal is to bring in some rigor from science and engineering
That's
because,
great because this healing and different things have been around for thousands and thousands, over 5,000 years, and it's great to see science catching up with it. And a top MIT grad getting into it, I think that's phenomenal.
yeah, and it's, and I want to be honest and clear with everyone that what did not happen that day was I had one session and my life was perfect. That'd be nice, but that's not reality. What did happen was my arm, which I hadn't been able to move for 5 months since the surgery, that part instantly healed. But all the pain I'd been in that had led me to the surgery, none of that healed instantly. So it was basically like rolling back the clock 6 months.
Hmm.
But with a lot more work over a course of years, I was able to reduce my pain,
With the
come off
same healer
disability.
or
Yep, with
with
the same
different
woman.
healers? Same woman, okay.
Yep. Now, of course, at some point I started branching out, learning new systems and all that. I think we all go through a phase where we go kind of crazy with the need to learn all this stuff, and we run
I'm
around
sorry,
all
with
this
go crazy with what?
the need to learn all this stuff
Need to learn. Yes,
because it's
excellent.
all very new and exciting, right?
Hmm.
And I went nuts for a couple of years running around every seminar and training I could,
Sure, going down the rabbit hole.
going down that rabbit hole exactly. And over a few years, I was able to make a lot of improvements. I was able to reduce my pain. It didn't go to zero, but I was able to reduce it significantly. I was I think the biggest part for me was I now had a career that I saw what Terry did, and I said, I want to do this too.
Yeah.
because that had been a huge thing for me. I had had all this education and knowledge of engineering and computers that I could not use. My body was so damaged. So suddenly, here's a career path for me, something I could actually do with all my pain and physical limitations. So that was really exciting.
And providing a great service for others.
Yeah, and doing something that actually makes a difference in the world.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't like overnight everything was perfect. That'd be nice, right?
Right. Doesn't
But
work.
yeah, it was a long process. It was a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of expense. But I got a huge result out of it. So I got my life back. And there's certainly been a lot of other, again, it's not like everything was perfect and I lived happily ever after, but it made a gigantic difference that learning how to work with the subconscious was night and day.
Hmm.
And that was huge because when I look back at what I had done in the 90s with positive thinking and alternative medicine, I think those are both worthwhile pursuits, but they don't work if you have a lot of subconscious blocks, is what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
the research done on the law of attraction is quite interesting. What it shows is over 99% of people that do the law of attraction from The Secret feel they got zero or near zero results.
I believe it. And there's a lot of people that are like totally against like, oh, manifestation, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
But they don't understand it.
right. And they're correct in the sense that the simple process of manifesting your learning The Secret is generally not effective.
Right.
That is correct. It doesn't mean it can't work at all. That what I found about the positive thinking is it engineering, we'd call it necessary but insufficient. In other words, if you want to have a better life, positive thinking is a good thing to do,
Hmm.
right? Won't argue with that.
Yeah.
However, for most people, positive thinking alone does not move the needle. It's not
Yeah.
enough. You got to get into the subconscious.
Hmm.
And just to also answer your question, what was wrong with me? The obvious thing was the repetitive stress injuries. But I also had chronic Lyme disease that ran for 17 years before I realized what was going on.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was part of why nothing helped me.
Hmm.
I also, again, learned many years later, I was suffering from chemical poisoning from aspartame.
Where
So
are you getting the aspartame? You're drinking
I used to be,
Diet
I
Coke
mean,
or?
a long time ago now, but yes, when I was in high school, my first summer job, I worked in a deli and they had a soda fountain.
Mm,
And I thought, gee, if I drink Coke all summer, I'm going to get fat and it's going to rot my teeth. So I switched to Diet Coke and got addicted.
yeah. Very
And
good.
I was a Diet Coke addict for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And I had no idea at the time, but it was slowly poisoning me.
Yeah. That's still
Now,
sold on the market too, isn't it?
it is in America, which is pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
Aspartame is illegal in most first world countries across the world.
Yeah.
Like, I think pretty much all of Europe has banned it. Russia banned it. China banned it. You know it's bad if North Korea bans it, right? If North Korea bans it, it can't be very good stuff. But yeah, I'm not here on a crusade against any particular chemical, just saying that's why nothing worked for me.
Hmm.
But when I finally started working the subconscious, I started to see results.
How did you work the subconscious?
It was mainly through a process that the way Terry taught it, the way I teach to my students now, it's mainly a process of what we call clear and download.
Say
That
that again,
is
please.
clear and download.
Clear and download. Okay.
So a clear is taking out a limiting belief, something that's harmful to you. So for example, if you hold the belief, I have to be poor to be close to God, we know that's not true, right?
Right.
So you clear it. So you find the negative beliefs, the ones that don't serve you, and you pull them out.
How do you pull out a belief or a thought? Because
The-
like I started learning about this stuff back in
yeah.
the late 80s about how the subconscious works. And what I started doing it is not pulling out or extracting the thought, but replacing it with the opposite
Well,
thought.
that's the download.
Okay.
That's the second half.
Okay.
So the first part is clear. You find the negative beliefs and you remove them. The second part is you find the void spaces, the empty places where knowledge and information could go but isn't. And then we use the term download because it's like a computer. If you need a new app on your phone, what do? Do you plug in a hard drive to it? No, you just download it.
Hmm.
And that's basically how the subconscious works. So yes, and what we found is that there were some people that had pieces of the puzzle, but no one that had the whole thing. So for example, I found that hypnotists were very good about putting in a new subconscious program,
Hmm.
but many of them didn't know how to delete ones that you didn't want.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
also, so they had part of it, right? I
Yeah.
also found processes of energy healing that were good at clearing blocks, but they had no way of replacing. And that's why I say they had part of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
What
sense.
what Terry and I developed was a full-fledged system that to me it's very much like programming a computer.
Hmm.
The subconscious is just software.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I thought I totally lost my career in the 90s. I lost a big chunk of it for sure, but I ended up becoming a software engineer, just working in the subconscious mind rather than an electronic computer.
Yeah. I mean, the brain's
And in
electronic.
terms of the exact process, obviously there's a lot of different modalities and techniques that have been developed for it.
Yeah.
You can tap on the body like EFT. You
Hmm.
can use the healing codes. You can, go to an NLP practitioner, a hypnotist with an old-fashioned watch. There's a lot of ways to do it.
Hmm.
But the short version of what's doing the heavy lifting is first you have to put the brain into a theta state. That's key. If you don't do that, subconscious stays closed.
Yeah.
Then, using a process of healing, you can do the clear and the download, is the short version to it. But you got to have the theta state. That's the dreaming sleep. That's the brain wave we're in when we're asleep.
Isn't it? I thought it was right before sleep and right when you wake up.
Well, there's many phases to sleep, but
Okay.
yes, you will be in a theta state in that twilight right before you go to sleep
Hmm.
and right when you wake up.
Yeah.
You will also go into theta during the what's called REM cycles or rapid eye movement sleep.
Okay.
And what the way it works is pretty simple. That when your brain is in theta, that's when the subconscious is open. You can edit it,
Hmm.
right? Like you most of the programs on your phone, you can't edit them. It's just a binary. You execute it, right?
Right.
And so you don't have control over it. You either run the app the company releases or you don't, right?
Sure. How are you putting people into a theta state?
The theta state, again, lots of different technologies for it. The fastest way is to entrain them directly. And I can do that in a fraction of a second. Um, that takes a little bit of training. There's also, you can use binaural beat audios. There's also sound and light machines that generate theta patterns.
Okay. Yep.
So there are different ways. I find the direct entrainment is the easiest and fastest, but it also takes the most training. But
Okay.
there's a lot of different ways to get to theta, but the theta state is key. That basically all of us humans run around with the source code to our entire life within us. And most people don't realize that.
I totally agree with you, and I often say that, you say you can't manifest, you're already manifesting. Everything you have in your
That's
life,
right.
everything that you're doing, everything that you are, you've already manifested. You've created it.
Yep. It's
Yep.
funny. Terry used to say that. One time I showed up for a session. She's like, "What do you want to work on, Brent?" I said, "Terry, I'm a terrible manifester." And she laughed. She said, "You're doing a damn good job of manifesting that chair you're sitting in."
And your body and your
Yes.
pain.
Yes, exactly. That pain you feel, you're manifesting that.
Hmm.
And one of the lessons I learned from her, I used to think I was a terrible manifester. That's actually not true. Because I would say, obviously, I'm a terrible manifester because look at all the horrible things I created, right? Multi-billion-dollar loss, betrayal by my best friend, and there's all sorts of other stuff I'm not even talking about. I had cancer, I had a girlfriend killed by a drunk driver, a good friend die of a drug overdose. I go on and on for all the tragedy, right? But that's not the point. The point is that we have this source code inside of us, and it literally runs your entire life. And most people have no idea that the way we've learned to live our lives in the modern world is pretty much backwards. And we wonder why so many of us are struggling and suffering.
I
It's
agree.
because you're doing it backwards, right?
Yeah, totally.
It'd be like driving your car backwards on the freeway and wondering why it's difficult.
How come
Well,
not moving forward?
yeah, it's hard enough driving forward.
Yeah,
And the way I would relate it, the way we've been trained to live our lives, first of all, it's no one's fault. This is just what we learned, right?
right.
So I'm not blaming anyone, but the best way to describe it, I remember back in the 90s, there was an old joke that used to circulate, went something like this. How do you know a blonde has been using your computer?
Do tell.
Well, your monitor is covered with black marker and whiteout. So,
I don't get it.
well, the blonde's on the computer trying to fix what's on the monitor. So she's
Ah,
drawing on the monitor.
okay,
He's
gotcha.
drawing on the monitor, right?
Sure.
And of course, it's funny because it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
We all know that drawing on your monitor is not going to fix your software, right?
right, right.
To fix the software, you got to change the code.
Yes.
But that's exactly how we live our lives.
So
That
true.
people struggle with money and they think, how do I cut my expenses? How do I make more money? Better question is, why are you manifesting your life in this situation?
Agreed.
Right? And so people will say, oh, tell me what to do. Tell me what book to read. Tell me what stock to buy. And that's not going to give you the answer. Those are drawing on the monitor. They're giving you a temporary appearance of things being fixed, but it's not actually fixed. A great example would be conventional medicine. A lot of modern medicine is drawing on the monitor. It's not actually solving the problem. It's just covering up the symptoms.
That's pretty much what allopathic
You know what I
medicine
mean?
is, treating the
Yes.
symptoms.
So
Yes.
you go to a doctor, they run some tests, they don't like the numbers, they give you prescription drugs to push the numbers around.
As
And
people get
then,
sicker, they change the numbers
yes,
to create a new
and
average.
their goal is to keep you coming back taking those drugs for the rest of your life,
Yes.
because that's how they get rich.
Yes.
But when you're covering up the symptoms, you're not solving the problem. That's what I want people to hear.
Right.
So just taking a drug to cover up your pain, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not solving the problem.
Agreed.
You're just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah. And how much do you feel belief works and ties into all of this?
Uh, it's interesting. I would say, in terms of conscious belief, it matters a little bit, but not very much. Because when I had my first session with Terry, when my elbow instantly healed, I didn't believe it would work. I was pretty convinced it wouldn't. Why? I had been to healers before. I had had Reiki healing and pranic healing and a bunch of hands-on done. Didn't seem to make any difference. And that's why I said, true story, only reason I went was I wanted a free dinner.
Hmm.
And if it took a firm belief in the conscious mind, I never would have healed. That's why I say the conscious mind matters a little, but not very much. What dominates your life is the subconscious, period.
Yeah.
That if your mind were a computer, your conscious mind would process 40 bits a second. Your subconscious mind does 4 million. That's the difference. So, you're wondering why your life isn't turning out the way you want. It's not as simple as it's only the subconscious, but that's the biggest piece for most people.
Hmm. Yeah.
That we basically we have a program inside of us in the subconscious that determines how every area of your life runs.
Hmm.
We have coding your subconscious that determines your physical health, your emotional health, how much money you make, how much free time you have, your mood, your sense of purpose, your level of self-confidence. All these things are just programmed into us. It's just software.
Your pain, your injuries, your
Your pain,
sickness.
your injuries, yes.
Hmm.
Ultimately, pain is just software.
Yeah.
It's just a signal sent through the nervous system. That's all it is. And the good news is, if you know how to reprogram your subconscious, you can change your life.
Yeah.
It's really that
Totally.
simple.
It's funny. I was in my 20s, and when I would get an itch in my nose or my sinuses, I think, oh, here it comes. I'm getting sick. And then I realized I had this, inspiration. It just dawned on me. It's like, okay, something happens, and then I have this belief that I'm going to get sick. And then I do. So then I
Yep.
said, well, what happens if I turn that around and say, okay, it's just my sinuses, it's just an itch, it's maybe some pollen, means nothing. I stopped getting sick.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that I ever have any type of, any that. I mean, that never happens where I get that itch or the sinus problem and then I get sick. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and that's a great example of you found an ad hoc way to change your subconscious,
Hmm.
and it worked.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. It's that simple. You change the code, the program runs differently.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Now,
we're all so busy drawing on our monitor, we don't realize it.
yeah, yeah, get my cold pills, take this, take
Yeah,
that. Yeah. So what
exactly.
are you teaching meditation? Are you teaching people to tune in to the subconscious thoughts and to listen to the mind better?
There's a lot of different pieces to it.
Okay.
And over time, yes, developing intuition and internal awareness is part of it. Most people start with muscle testing to check for their subconscious.
Hmm.
It's not the only tool we use, but it's a very simple and easy one. It's pretty accurate in telling you what beliefs you hold and which you do not.
Yeah,
So
muscle testing's phenomenal.
that's one, that's one of
It
the
blows my mind.
it's one of the things I start people with.
Okay.
It's not perfect, and you can go astray with it if you don't have a good trainer.
Hmm.
But like any tool, if you use it for the purpose it was developed, it does really well. And one of the things people can do is, I mean, you can go learn muscle testing from, my YouTube channel or anybody's. There's lots of videos on it. You can start checking your own source code.
Your YouTube channel is Brent Michael
Yeah, you can just search for Brent Michael Phillips
Phillips.
and it should come right up.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So it's, muscle testing is a way of tapping into your body's inherent intelligence or the
Hmm.
subconscious.
Yes.
It's basically saying, hey, body, do you hold this belief? So if you're wondering, do I believe in my subconscious that I have to be poor to be close to God? The answer is, I don't know. Let's test it. See if you do. So that's how we usually start people. Then we show them the entrainment process, which is like a version of meditation, where you can learn to get yourself into a theta wave in seconds, which is a huge, huge technological upgrade. Because before we learned how to do this, to get to theta through traditional meditation, you can do it, but that's like a 30-year process.
For
It's
some.
like, yeah,
Yeah. There's
for
also
some
breathing
traditional schools, it takes
techniques.
a long time, very long time.
Yeah. There's also breathing techniques that I've learned to get into theta, but man, it's vigorous. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Shamanic drumming, the proper frequency of drumming can do it.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of ways to get to theta. But the most important thing is we got to get there and then change your code.
Yeah.
It's that simple that if you don't like how your app is running, you change the code, don't you?
Yeah. So when you're doing your muscle testing, I want to back you up a little bit. Do you
Yeah.
have like a series of core belief questions that you're
I
testing?
do. I have a series of 7 we call Healing 101 that I always do with people right out of the gate. I also have 6 major program releases on different topics, such as prosperity, love, enlightenment, things like that,
Hmm.
each of which has a couple hundred encoded clearings in it. So there is sort of a foundational set of beliefs. I'd say if you put it all together, it's probably about 1,000 beliefs that I like people to start with. But again, it's not all on day one.
Yeah.
It's like if you learn karate, they're not teaching you flying kicks on day one. They're going to show you how to do a simple block and a punch, right?
Sure.
You practice that enough times, then we'll teach you the flying kick. And the healing is no different. And that's why I look at it very differently than most people. I don't see this as magic or ritual or woo-woo or religion or God or any of that. It's just nature. And nature operates by laws, and it's that simple.
Yeah.
And if we can understand those laws, we can manipulate nature.
So I understand that you're an author. So you actually have a brick and mortar place where people come for
I
these
used to.
sessions?
I used
Okay.
to. Before COVID, I had a physical office. People would drive up and find parking and go through the whole deal.
Yeah.
Since COVID, I've run almost entirely online.
Okay.
Most of my sessions and groups are done online. The exception is about once a year, I hold a residential retreat for my most advanced students.
Okay.
But that's invite only. So there are some things I still need to get people in a room for, but 95% of it can be done online.
This is exciting. I
Yeah.
love I love what you're doing.
It's very cool stuff because I love helping people discover their power. That, when I was so down during the darkest years, the reason it was so difficult for me was I didn't think there was a way out. I really thought it was game over for me. And I want to give people some hope that there are things out there you may never have heard of that are different and new that may hold your solution. And I've also tried to make this as generic and applicable to everyone as I can.
What do you
In
mean
other
by that?
words, um, I spent a lot of years working with a lot of great masters,
Okay.
incredible healers, shamans, intuitives, mystics, etc. And many of them have created written books, created modalities. Probably some of them probably may have been on the show. But this is what I found. There really are a lot of amazingly talented people out there, and some of them can do some mind-blowing things.
For sure.
That's a fact. However, most of them don't really understand what it is they're doing. It's a talent or ability or something they learned that they've developed the skill, but they're not exactly sure what's happening. And the trouble with that is your students can't surpass you if it's based on talent or ability. I see healing not as we all create our own systems and sit in our silos. I see it as more of a scientific collaboration. I'm doing research, you're doing research, let's come together, share our results so that we all get uplifted. And that's really my goal with this is I want to turn this into simple, easy processes. That when I started this journey in 2003 with the miracle with my elbow, of course I wanted to be a master healer. That was going to be my new job, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had no idea if that was even possible. I've taken it with my material and made it possible for everybody. A good metaphor would be martial arts. That if you want to get a black belt in karate, it's pretty much a guarantee that if you find a dojo and show up and train, you will get your black belt. It's just a matter of time, right?
Sure.
Uh, it might take 3 years or 5 years or whatever it takes, but there's no special talent required. You just have to show up.
And practice.
Yeah, and
You got to do
practice.
the work.
Yes, and I would say the system I've created, it does not demand a talent for healing or intuition or any of that. Heck, I still don't like to meditate, even today. Never been much of a meditator. It's not zero, just not my favorite thing. But I found ways to make it work. And what I really want the audience to hear is this has been democratized and commoditized in a way that everybody can start applying the power of consciousness. Everyone can do it. And that wasn't the case when I started this. It was mostly very special, talented people that were exceptional that were able to do it. You know, I have spent decades figuring out how it works. And I did with energy healing exactly what they taught me at MIT. I took it apart. I figured out how it worked. I put it back together and I made it better.
I love that.
So
Now, do you find that there's certain personal habits or things that people do that are creating blocks to this ability?
oh yeah, a lot. Um, I mean, I could go on for hours with all the things we do. I'd say probably the number top of the list would be dysregulating your nervous system. And that's a little bit of an esoteric concept. But we get into so many bad habits with our posture, with how we sleep, with how we eat, with how we breathe, with how we think. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Things we put in our body.
Things we put in our body, etc. It's
Yeah.
not just one thing, it's all these things.
Yeah.
The trend is over time, it dysregulates the nervous system.
Yeah.
And the nervous system is basically the software system that runs your body.
Mm.
And when your nervous system gets dysregulated, everything goes out of whack.
Do you teach breathing, proper breathing techniques?
I do have some breathing techniques included, yes.
Okay.
And breathing, I think, is a very interesting one. It's something that it's like dating in that it's something that's easy to do poorly. And driving is like that too. It's
Yeah.
easy to be a bad driver, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of them. Yeah,
It's very easy to breathe poorly, isn't it?
it is.
And most people don't want to spend time or money on something they already know how to do, even if they do it poorly.
Hmm.
That was my first response when Terry said, "Hey, Brent, I'm teaching a breathwork seminar." I'm like, Terry, I already know how to breathe. Why would I go to that? Right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. So yes, breathing, I think, is important. And it's important because the oxygen, the breath, is the fundamental connection of life.
yeah. And there
And
is
yeah,
a type of breathing, it's been classified as paradoxal breathing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that,
mhm,
where you breathe in such a certain way that it causes dysregulation of the nervous
yeah.
system.
And in fact, the pranayama breathing you'll see in a lot of yoga
Hmm.
can be a little dangerous to some people because it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
What most of us need is the opposite, to
Well,
stimulate the parasympathetic.
yeah, it depends on the breathing technique.
Sure,
One will, yeah, definitely uh, boost up the sympathetic, some will boost up the parasympathetic, and then you can also work into ones that create an equanimity in the system.
sure. But yeah, I mean, the meditation I do for the most part is an open eye meditation. We call it beaming or consciousness shifting. And it's essentially increasing vagal tone and
Mhm.
stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. And I don't understand all the biology because I don't have a background in medicine, but I've been told by people that understand it better than me that we're increasing the vagal tone, turning up the parasympathetic, and also increasing the levels of oxytocin and vasopressin, which are hormones.
Yes, yeah,
Why those two? I don't know. But what it does is it creates a profound change in the nervous system that seems almost supernatural.
have you done any research on the pineal gland and its ability as a piezoelectric effect to change the nervous system as well?
I find that the research there is so fascinating because what they found is there are people whose the physical structure of the pineal gland is changing. That this is medically documented. And I think that long story short, there's incredible power in our own bodies.
Yeah,
And I have found that a lot of what we consider woo-woo or supernatural is actually can be all explained by the human body.
yeah, I agree.
That, for example, one of the things I do with people is train them into the field with the beaming, and then almost always I'll be able to see their past life show up on their face. Is it because there's an invisible demigod with a projector in the room shining that light? No. It's my own nervous system calms down enough that it can touch that sensitive information. A lot of it has to do with the salience network. You're familiar with that in the brain?
I'm not, but
That
it's kind of reminded me of
basically,
the Akashic records. I don't know if you're familiar with
th
that.
yeah, yeah, of course. You'll look in the book, right? The salience network is how the brain determines what's significant enough to pay attention to.
I see. Okay.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when we're under stress all the time, you're worried about your job, your marriage, your neighbor, your car, your insurance, all these things, right?
Hmm.
Our brains are so jammed up that there's no room for subtle perception.
Yeah.
They're at 100%. They can't add more, right?
Yep.
When we turn down the stress with this meditation, what happens is it lowers that load on the brain. There's not so much stress there that it has to pay attention to. And now it frees up resources for the finer, more subtle perceptions. So, for example, I would say that as we're walking around, all of our past lives are showing up on us all the time. They're always
That's
there.
interesting.
Yes. The question is who's tuned into it.
Yeah.
Imagine walking around on Earth without a radio. You would have no idea the air is filled with radio waves, would you?
Nope.
But you turn on the radio and there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff is always there, but we have to train our own nervous system to tune into it. And that I think is a lot of what we do with the meditation. It's specifically designed to be functional in re-regulating the nervous system. And when that occurs, we get many effects that we consider spiritual.
Hmm.
So that, for example, you'll be in a better mood. You'll have more energy. You'll get sick less. You'll heal faster. Of course you will, because you've dumped all this huge stress off your body, right?
Stress is a killer. Yeah,
Stress is
for
a
sure.
killer, of course.
Yeah.
But in particular, the subtle perception opens up.
Hmm.
So you start to see auras around people.
Awareness builds.
Right. Awareness
All this.
builds. Again, it's a simple matter of when you overtax the body, it's got nothing left.
Right. Yep.
We got to de-stress it. That creates space for it to move around.
Hmm.
That's when, people call it psychedelic or supernatural. Yes, but it's really just the body's own nervous system.
Yeah, I agree. And it's only supernatural because we've been so removed from it.
Exactly. A caveman would think your flashlight is supernatural,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Why? They didn't have electricity. They weren't stupid. They just didn't know how to build a flashlight.
Yeah. Technically, they had electricity. They just didn't know how to tap into
Sure. Yeah, yeah. It was in the environment and
Yeah.
in their bodies. They just didn't know how it worked or what to do with it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I'm here for, to go, hey, people, this you can look at this as woo-woo, and that's not wrong, but you can also look at this as science and engineering.
Hmm.
They're both useful. They're just two different ways of seeing the same thing.
Yeah. Science meeting spirituality. I
Yeah.
love this. Yeah.
And it's funny that about 300 years ago, Descartes drew a line in the sand and he said, religion stays on this side, science stays on this side, right?
Yeah. If he
That
only knew.
line, that line has been obliterated.
Yeah.
That
Right.
many of the high-level scientists, especially physicists and cosmologists, they're all becoming spiritual.
Yes.
In the
Yes.
90s, that was almost unheard of. It was career suicide. No one did
Mhm.
it.
Right.
Now, a lot of them are basically saying, hey, I didn't find God through the Bible. I found God through general relativity and
Hmm.
thermodynamics, right?
Yeah. Are going within.
Yes, the equations of God are written as the laws of nature, and we're just discovering them and learning how to use them.
Yeah. I like to say
And
rediscovering. I like to think that
sure,
20,000 years ago that, there was enlightened beings on the planet
and
at a lot of,
there is a lot of evidence for that,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. That at minimum, there is huge evidence that humans have built technologically advanced civilizations in the past,
yes, yep,
and then they went away.
yeah. It's talked about in the yugas. I don't know if you're familiar with that in
Hmm.
yogic text.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're
Yep.
just basically coming out of Kali Yuga, still the dark ages.
Yes, we're in Kali Yuga, the worst one.
Yes. Yeah.
Where
But
it's
we're
basically
moving
that we're
out.
like the Stalingrad planet, you know? It
Yeah.
just sucks all the time.
Right.
But I believe the golden age comes next, doesn't it?
Not yet.
No, is it
No.
silver first? I forget.
I think it's silver. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 But
So,
yeah,
yeah, and I forget the yogic name for it. It starts with a T, I believe. But anyway, so, so I'm sure people are fascinated by your information here, and if they want to get a hold of you and do a session or learn more, what's the best
sure.
place to start?
I'll give two resources.
Okay.
If you just want to learn a little more, get familiar with my teachings, check out my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's got a couple hundred videos on all sorts of different topics. You get a great sense of me and the work, and I think fascinating stuff. For those that are interested to perhaps work with me personally,
Hmm.
go to my website. Just check out awakeningdynamics.com.
Awakeningdynamics.com.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you forget, just put my name in a chat room. Just type in like Brent Michael Phillips subconscious. That'll work too, right? Should come right up.
Yeah, with what seems like such a common name, I did some, Google searching and you popped right up. So it's pretty
Yep.
good.
And there's I used to go by Brent Phillips, but I changed it to include Michael because there was a life coach who had my name
Ah,
and
okay.
people were mixing us up.
Yeah.
But I haven't run into another Brent Michael Phillips yet.
Oh, good.
Though I did have in 2007, I taught a seminar with 15 students. There were three Brents in the room.
Wow. What are the odds of that?
What are the odds of that? So only one time have I had a student named Brent,
Hmm.
and I had two of them in the same class.
Yeah. Pretty
How
amazing.
crazy is that?
That is pretty crazy.
Never again have I had a Brent, another Brent. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah, check out my website at awakeningdynamics.com, and basically you'll see an overview of, the different kinds of programs I offer.
Hmm.
And I want everyone to know I work differently than most. Most people have one process, one system, one package they try to push on everyone.
Okay.
I will never do that to you.
Is
My
that
offer,
because everybody's unique?
it's because everybody's unique.
Okay, great.
That I admit, 15 years ago, I wanted everyone to take my class and buy my book.
Hmm.
I wanted the numbers bigger, bigger. What I found was it doesn't work that way. I want the right people. That's what I want. And so I want to make a special offer for the podcast,
Okay.
and that anyone that goes to my website, mention the Inspired Yogi, and you'll see a link to book 20 minutes with me for free. That's just because I want to get to know you. And the goal of that is you tell me about where you're at, where you want to go, a little about you. I'm going to tell you how to get there. And
Fabulous. I love that. Thank you very much.
sometimes it's my programs, sometimes it's not.
Okay.
But I'll ask, please only do it if you're serious. If you're
Yeah.
willing to spend time, willing to spend money, willing to do the work, I'm happy to talk to you for free. If you just want to kick the tires, go to YouTube. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money making those videos. Please watch them, right? It's
Sounds
cool.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're serious, I'm going to talk to you, and every solution I offer is custom. Why? We're all different. We're all in different places now, and we're all trying to get to a different place.
Yeah.
And I've created so many books and programs and systems over the years. It would take you, I actually had one of my students go through all of my programs. It took him 4 years.
Wow.
Right. It's very rare someone goes through all my material. But his name is Clifford, introduce you if at some point. But he started with me in 2021, and he went through all of my material. Took him 4 years. So,
Fabulous.
so I want people to know I'm not expecting you to do that.
Yeah. I would
I'll
love
meet
to
with
hear
you
how
up
his
front.
life has changed.
You know what? If you want to have him on, email me. I think he would
Okay.
find that a thrill. He
Yeah.
he he doesn't do healing work professionally. He does it part-time.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think he has a fascinating journey
Sounds like
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, my goal is to talk to you up front so you don't have to spend 4 years going through programs. I want to give you the one, two, or three things that's going to give you the breakthrough.
Sounds great.
But again, I just want to emphasize there is a work aspect to it.
Yeah, you have to do the work,
There
right?
is no wave a magic wand and your life is perfect an hour later.
Yeah, I hope not, because then it won't be real.
Yeah, yeah. If there is, they're lying to you. It's a scam.
Yeah, there's no
Run away.
investment. Yeah, you got to do the work.
But yeah, I try to come from a place of scientific honesty. This is what I've learned. This is how it works.
Hmm.
I would love to help you if this is right for you.
Great. All right, I want to give you an opportunity. We're about to wrap up the show here. Anything you want to share with the audience? I mean, you've shared a lot, obviously, but any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would say one of the most important things I've learned is this. We all live in prisons constructed out of what we think we know. And if you ask me why was I so miserable in the 90s when my life created, it was simple. I thought I knew everything. I used to be so smart, so talented, so hardworking, so accomplished. I thought I had it figured out. And life absolutely annihilated me. So there is incredible power in letting go. And just because something's true doesn't mean you shouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
That
Great,
for the
great words of wisdom there.
Yeah, yeah. And that second part is deep. So if that doesn't click right away, don't worry. At some point it will.
Yeah.
Because letting go of truth is one of the hardest things on the journey, but it's what moves you forward. Why? Simple. You can't fit a medium-sized truth into the garage when it's full of a small truth, can you?
Mm.
It's like you go to the mall and there's a motorcycle in the one parking spot. Motorcycle doesn't take up the whole parking spot, but you can't fit your car in, right?
Right.
That's how we are with what we think we know in truth.
Yeah.
We're holding on to all these little truths that are blocking the way for the bigger truth trying to show up. So
Totally.
if you have no idea what to do, just start letting go of everything. I think you'll like what happens.
Yeah.
I think you'll like what happens.
Great advice. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time to be with us and sharing your information. And I hope everybody checks out your YouTube stage channel and also checks out your website. And tell you've got 4 books out, I believe.
I've written 6 and I have another one coming later this year.
Okay. And where can people find those? I'm guessing Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon is the easiest. Just go to Amazon Kindle. Just type in my name. They should all come up.
Sounds great.
And I think you can get them on my website too, but Amazon doesn't like it when you sell books that Amazon sells. So I think you have to go to Amazon for my books. Everything else you can get on my website.
Sounds great. Brent, again, thank you very much for being on the show.
Been excited to be here. This is great. Great
Yeah,
opportunity.
great conversation. All right. Take care.